So I opened my phone up. I'm about to make a video, coincidentally about fire. And this appears on the home screen of this new phone I bought. And apparently it thinks I'm in Yuma. Maybe the GPS is messed up. Fire weather watch. There's also a solar flare hitting. So MB3 says, Northern Latitude Sky Watchers, watch for Aurora Borealis. And Greg Braden in his videos, Awakening to Zero Point and Beyond Zero Point, the collective initiation, said that we would be able to see Aurora Borealis all around the world. There would be multiple poles, not just a north and a south, but multiple during the transition period. And a couple of years ago, I made a screenshot slideshow when MB3 showed that there was northern lights in New Mexico. And you don't need to look too far into this one to see what's going on. Cars melted, trees are fine, and that's the thumbnail they use. I still haven't even watched this video of the fires from Texas.
Consists of 4 different fires. The small town of Carbon has particularly been hit hard, and that's where we find our Lily Zhang. Lily?
Well, Vince, this is one of the towns that was evacuated yesterday. Many people came back.
Problem with this video? If I pause it, it throws some other stuff up and doesn't let me take screenshots, so I'd have to record it from one phone to another, take the screenshots to zoom in. But you heard him say, the Eastland fire complex consists of 4 different fires, 4 that started simultaneously, all right? We've been doing this long enough, we know what's up. Like the 168 fires that were burning in Florida last week, like the 10 different fires that popped up simultaneously in New York, in Central Park, like the 215 different fires that started in Paradise, and A Plain Truth, Jamie Lee of A Plain Truth, kept harping on the fact that they said they explained the cause of 12 of those fires. 12 of the 200 and some odd fires that started simultaneously, they determined the cause of 12. Power line or some bullshit. Look at all the trees behind her still standing. Look at the fractal burning pattern in the grass.
Their homes, their cars badly damaged, or in this case behind us, their homes are completely gone. Under a haze of smoke Friday, there is heartbreak in Carbon. Families return to what's left of their homes, many now destroyed.
Trees still standing.
I'm lost for words, really. And I'm hardly ever lost for words.
Jaquita Grissom has been here before. She moved to this
rusted cars,
7 years
melted
ago,
rims,
after losing another house in a fire.
trees all still standing.
I guess we're just going to put our trust in the Heavenly Father, same as last time. He took care of us. So, he'll take care of us.
Trees all around,
Nearby,
still standing.
Walking around and see what's left, which obviously there's nothing left on this side.
Victor Ragoza's home was spared, but his rental property next door, housing 2 families, is gone without power or water. Ragoza says they will be staying elsewhere Friday night.
That's the main thing right now. I mean, people being safe, and that's what we really should be caring about.
The effort to contain the Eastland complex.
Virtue signaling, that's what we should really care about.
Into Friday, as Eastland officers went door to door.
Trees.
Searching for
not a single one burned.
For bodies, unaccounted for people.
In areas hit hard like Carbon,
trees,
some residents like
not on fire.
Were grateful to find their homes spared, despite some
trees.
Damage to property.
Just getting over all of the shock and everything, you know, and thinking about, glad that it's as good as it is, and then we'll start cleaning up.
There's a house on fire? Okay. And grateful for their safety. So we just spoke with Forest Service. They say that all roads are open in Carbon, but they are asking people to stay away from this area with firefighters still working. Reporting live in Carbon, Lily Zhang, NBC5.
So it says here the Eastland complex is composed of 4 different fires managed under one incident. Just another indicator. So people are able to see this now, and they send me links or they mention it to me, and I just Google it, and there it is. So as this carries on, feel free to, let me know. Because if one guy who watches this channel saw one happen in Texas and he spotted it and he sees the burn patterns and he knows what he's looking at, this is probably happening all over. In multiple states. Only on the local news channel is it broadcast. No one's putting them all together and showing you how it happens all over. They cover them as if they are isolated incidents and that one is not connected to the other. These are 4 separate fires managed under one incident. So these are probably being broadcast on local news stations all across the country, and only 1 out of 1,000 are seen by one of the few viewers of this channel who can see the burn patterns and then relays it and mentions it to me. But I'm just saying, leave a comment if you see these happening. I'll make another video, and that's enough said about this one. So I'm going to include this link in the description. It's only a 1 minute 15-second music video of a song called Guitars de Amor by POD, Payable on Death. And there's some mumbling going on in the background beneath the guitars, and what I hear is that the initiate must initiate himself. And they repeat it a couple of times. At 50 seconds, you can hear it the most clearly. Maybe you hear Yanni or Laurel, but I hear the initiate must initiate himself. I'll also include a link to the full album by POD called Satellite. They're a Christian rock band who used to run with Katy Perry until, in her own words, she said, "I sold my soul to the devil." And she went corporate. I suggest you listen to the whole album. Every song in there is loaded with spiritually embedded meaning and messages. I'm also going to include a link to the song Kill Your Heroes by AWOLNATION. In James's most recent stream titled Owning the Self, Own the Self, he talked about how all of our hero movies are actually more like masochism because the hero's all tied up until the last 5 minutes of the movie when he gets free. So it's actually more of a celebration of the masochism. Oh, I'm tied up, I'm tied down, like Gulliver's Travels, where he allows these little people to tie him down. And the song High Hopes by Pink Floyd. We're leaving the myriad of small creatures trying to tie us to the ground, to a life consumed by slow decay. The tolling of the division bell had begun. And in the song, Kill Your Heroes, met an old man dying on a train. He said one thing: before I graduate, never let your fear decide your fate. Before I what? Graduate, like Earth School. These guys in the music video by Pink Floyd, High Hopes, that I just referenced a moment ago, are wearing graduation caps, running away from the university. And since we're doing the music video muse message thing, this one is Rag and Bone Man's song called Giant. And I believe what it's depicting is what Jay Dreamers broke down in his Truth in Movies video that covered LoKi. This guy would represent the blue beam. He's wearing this blue jumpsuit the whole time. And it also represents the shift from blue to red light that Jay talks about and getting back to nature. Now, granted, my interpretation of this music video is based on Jay Dreamer's cosmology and concept of the plasma apocalypse and his breakdown of the movie LoKi. But as he said, these aren't my ideas. He just collected these ideas from various places and collated them all into one place so you can grasp it. So he's in the city in an apartment complex building, and he's looking at these pictures of leaves. It's about getting back to nature. And he takes off on a dead run out of the city and into the wilderness. Kind of like a vision quest, kind of like my trip to Missouri. And throughout the music video, this guy is apparently preparing supper for them in the party that they're going to have out there in the wilderness by digging up naturally growing onions and garlic, and he catches some fish. And so here he's still running, and he's made it to the woods. Same guy that was fishing, who also dug up the naturally growing onions, also found some wild garlic. And he's collecting it for the supper. And then you've got this cavalry of people in red jumpsuits. And the red lighting and the blue lighting, or the red jumpsuits and the blue jumpsuits, is very much a part of the symbolism here in this video. And the lyrics that coincide with this message that is being portrayed through the imagery is, I'm giant, climb up on my shoulders, tell me what you see, we'll be breaking boulders underneath our feet. And then the chorus later on sings, gonna shake, throw it away in the dirt under me. Yeah, gonna shake, throw it away in the dirt. Yeah, that's the mud flood. That's the plasma apocalypse, where we throw it away in the dirt and break some boulders. Here they flash back to him dancing in his apartment before he ran out into the woods in a red shift lighting. Everyone in the video is wearing either a red jumpsuit or a blue jumpsuit, and there's one guy who has a jumpsuit with a mixture of both red and blue. Maybe that is the guy who, as Greg Braden said, we are the generations that will walk between worlds. We are the bridge, the living bridge between worlds. In his video series titled Awakening to Zero Point and Beyond Zero Point, The Collective Initiation. And here's the guy who went out and got some fish and onions and garlic, and he's got a fire going and he's ready for the arrival. The party's about to happen. There's the fish that he caught. And here he's cooking them up, making some stew. So the one guy in the blue jumpsuit is surrounded by this cavalry of people dressed in red jumpsuits. And if you look closely, you can see all these wicked, evil owl eyes back here in the trees. And so here's the one guy who's wearing a jumpsuit that has a combination of blue and red. And so we got the storm symbolism that Jay Dreamers references a lot when he talks about storm symbolism that represents the worldwide tempest that occurs at that time. And here he is, the blue beam, out there in the midst of all these red people. And here's a guy wearing the red jumpsuit but carrying the blue flag, the merger of the two. Again, more storm symbolism with all the rain. But I think this is what Jay Dreamers referenced in his breakdown of the movie LoKi when he says this is LoKi digging on the female version of himself, because there's actually two beams, one from above, one from below, and they can only mingle for a moment. They can only come together for a short time, and then they have to go back their separate ways. But during the meantime, they party and dance together in the storm. It's not about getting through the storm, it's about learning to dance in the rain. And they're stomping around in the mud, going to shake, throw it away in the dirt, yeah. The mud flood, liquefaction, storm symbolism, worldwide tempest. When the two beams come together. When the red and the blue shift. Electromagnetic plasma changeover event. Crazy lightning. There's always lightning before the thunder. But for those who get an invitation to this dance party, it's the greatest show on earth. And the invitation is through a process of self-selection. The initiate must initiate himself. A merger of the masculine and feminine, the red and the blue. Mom's coming round to put it back the way it ought to be. And the final scene is him standing in the middle of this field by himself looking up like a blue beam. I think that's what's being portrayed here in this music video. So dance, baby, dance like the world is ending. Dance, baby, dance like the world is ending. And just to double down on the storyline here, in a live performance, they set up the stage to look like an outdoor setting with trees and bushes and rocks and all the red and the blue lighting. Same message being portrayed in just a truncated way. Yesterday's video by MB3 shows a red atmosphere, blaming it on the dust from the Sahara, which it probably is. And then he kind of normalizes it and minimizes it and says, but this is happening in March, way earlier than we saw it last year. And we should expect this for the next few months. He's normalizing it as if it's always happens. It's just happened a little earlier this year than it does usually. Of course, we haven't actually seen this other than the last couple of years. And they're probably whipping up some sandstorms and blowing them around the world as a form of solar radiation mitigation. Kind of like they spray and they call it, filtered sunlight today. The weatherman tells you got filtered sunlight today. And he's referring to the clouds that are sprayed as part of a solar mitigation program. Well, when you ain't got enough planes in the world, you whip up a sandstorm, and blow it around. And that probably serves the same purpose. So just to tie up a few loose ends, there's some images from the movie Moonfall that probably no one even heard of. Here's a screenshot from Marfoogle News where he thought it was curious that all these people had Moon Crash Live coming from the ISS or the Chinese version thereof that was going to watch this rocket supposedly hit the moon that never ended up happening. There's the thumbnail image from Final Days, where she took that from the FAA weather cam in Wolf Creek, Colorado, and without adding any contrast, supposedly, that's visible from the FAA weather cam, and you could go back to the same date and look it up online the same way that she did if you choose, but no one will. But cameras can see things that the human eye can't, so it would make sense that maybe this was visible from a FAA weather cam and people couldn't actually see it with their naked eye. And I'm about to give you another example of this, where this guy made a video where the blinking purple or ultraviolet light that is not visible to the human eye became visible when he filmed it with another camera. So he makes this video, titles it Non-Consensual Tech. And he's railing about how he turned his phone off and he can still read it using an EMF meter indicating that it's still sending and receiving information even when it's turned off. And then he notices the blinking purple light for the very first time, notices it, mentions it, and moves on and continues railing about the EMF readings that he's getting, rather than realizing there's more non-consensual tech right in front of you that you just realized while making a video about non-consensual tech.
Oh, this phone was off. See that airplane mode right there? It should not be communicating. Look at that little dot. You see that little dot? See that dot flashing up there? On the camera? I hope the camera's picked, because I'm seeing it through the screen. I never see that. I can't see that with my naked eye. Look at that. Look at that. I can't even see that with my naked eye. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. I'm a little ignorant as to what that might be that my camera's picking up that my naked eye isn't. Now, you see all these settings. Everything should be off. All communication.
I've shown you this same thing on my phone. Mine flashes quite a bit faster and then it gets slower. When you back off, when you're close, it's fast. You back off. You get closer. And it's a laser. You can see that. You can see the beam coming out from it. So it's a projected light. You can see the beam coming out from it. And you can't see that with your naked eye. I've done videos on this before. Oh yeah. The recent video that I did on the fires in Florida, showing you an overturned car in the thumbnail image. That overturned car does not show up anywhere within the video. I just thought that would be a noteworthy thing to bring to your attention. And wrap it up with some stormtrooper. I'm a stormtrooper. I can't see shit in this thing. Supposedly this was broadcast on the Small Hat News channels. Stormtroopers. I don't read the language, but I assume that's SNN, Small Hat News Network. And I'll include the link in the description. where you can watch the stormtrooper. I'm a stormtrooper. I can't see shit in this thing. They tried to make the visor dark to make it intimidating. Leaning up against what is apparently called a TIE fighter. I don't know, I didn't watch enough Star Wars to get the names of the crafts. But apparently that's a real ship from Star Wars, and there's a stormtrooper, and there's a stormtrooper. Link is in the description.
Policy. They've got the low-hanging fruit. Now they're going for more, folks. Now they're going for the rest of us. Some of you still are out there going, it's a conspiracy. This guy's crazy. Crazy. It's a conspiracy. Look at everything that's happened. Look at everything that's happened so far. Think back. Your memory is short. We're at war. This is what war looks like in 2022. It's the elites versus the rest of the planet, basically. And they control your governments, your media, your celebrities, everything. Everything is compromised, folks. Your fucking reality that you believed in so much has just blown up. Well, I'm here to blow it up. Boom! Wake you up out of the slumber. Unfortunately, to break you out of this MK Ultra, there has to be trauma. And that's how Juan put it. It makes a lot of sense. So you're going to have to go through a near-death experience to understand the trauma so that you get jolted out of your fucking slumber.
Listen, for the initiate must initiate himself behind the guitars.
Vicinity, and then more very bright rings once again in the sky above South Africa.
Wait for
the
it.
Melinder family out of Sydney, Montana. Ominous looking storm cloud above Montana. Dallas, Texas. Chris L. Lightning crawling across the sky from left to right. And then in the next video, the lightning was crawling across the sky from right to left. Incredible video. And also in this video, I've got a brand new picture slideshow, new sky phenomena photos, and from all around the world. Starting off in Hudson, New York. Photos taken in broad daylight by Eve. This goes back to January 25th of 2022. Unique shiny object in the daytime sky above Hudson, New York.
So he's not going to zoom in and run some contrast and maybe pull some features, see if you can see the windows on the craft, maybe even look inside a little bit. No, not going to do that. Watch MB3. Anyone who says, oh, he's a shill, he's obviously part of the soft disclosure or whatever, that's scapegoating. If you're not watching every single MB3 video, you're not serious about staying up with current events as they unfold, or you just don't know that that's a good place to go for the source of on the cutting edge of this transition process we're going through. And so this is probably why they have that alert for fire weather watch.
Guys, hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. Several things I want to get to in this video. We're going to start over here at the Space Weather Prediction Center. You can see there's yet another CME on its way to planet Earth. We'll be here sometime, according to the Enlil spiral here, sometime tomorrow. This is the CME coming towards the Earth. This is the sun. This is the Earth over here. This little green dot right here on this diagram you see here. And you can see the large plasma cloud coming in contact with the Earth sometime tomorrow on the 19th. So high latitude sky watchers, be on the lookout for auroras tomorrow.
Again, just tying up some loose ends. This is the overturned car I was referring to in the thumbnail photo of the report by Tampa Bay 10 News, where they talk about Governor DeSantis holds a press briefing to discuss the ongoing fires. And in the thumbnail, they show you this overturned photo, but nowhere in that video do they show you this overturned car or give any explanation for it. Electromagnetics, like when you push two magnets together and it flips the other one until they stick together because they're on opposing surfaces, negative to negative or positive to positive, as the waves of electromagnetics go through the ground, a negative on one side and a positive on the other, something to that effect. I believe that's how these cars get flipped. The other place we saw this was Paradise. So, along with your fire weather watch, you got a car flip watch warning coming too, for those that can see it and know what they're seeing. I'd like to remind you of the music video by Imagine Dragons called Thunder. There's always lightning before the thunder. The thunder is the arrival of the others, and the motif in this music video is that they are surrounded by sheep. Pineal gland, or pine cone, sheep floating off into the air. The arrival. Phase 2 of the ambassadorship. So dance, baby, dance like the world is ending, because it is. The world we thought we knew. And we're getting broke out of Jim Jones Island. But before, they had to send some infiltrators in to talk to the people and let them know that there's forces about to breach the perimeter, and when they do, you guys are slaves. Do not defend master. We're here to liberate you. The difference between a slave and a prisoner is a mindset. And before they could attempt to physically free you from the compound and the cult that you've been indoctrinated into, they had to free you from the plantation of your mental enslavement. That's what this whole process has been about the last couple of years, and is going to continue until you're certain that you don't know what's real anymore. And then they can present you the truth. Because the sheep have been so indoctrinated with a xenophobia that anyone besides us from outside of our little colony of the People's Temple here is the enemy. They're fallen angels, they're Nephilim, they're interdimensional. There's no such thing as aliens, only interdimensional, demonic, Luciferian, possessed. Maybe they got a little flesh and bone on top, but they're basically just demons and interdimensional fallen angels. Yeah. Got some more sheep floating away in the sky here and here and here and over there in the background. More sheep floating away all over the place. So as the story goes, Harriet Tubman ran the Underground Railroad. She was a slave that somehow got free and then went back to the very plantation that she was a slave on because she knew the territory and the people. She didn't go back there to just get as many people as she could. She thoroughly vetted each one of them to see if they were a prisoner or a slave. The difference between the two is a mindset, and this is what Mason Weaver wrote about in his book, What Will You Do with the Rope? A prisoner, if someone throws a rope over the wall, they'll use that rope to climb the wall and get out of the prison. A slave will go tell master, hey, someone threw a rope over the wall and there's other sheep getting out of the pen. These movements will demand that you join them. And these movements are intentionally being triggered and directed to filter out who's who, based on your underlying priorities, principles that will be expressed through your standards of behavior. What's important to you? Conformity, acceptance within the group, or alignment with truth, even if it costs you your good standing membership within the sheep flock. So Harriet Tubman went back and freed a bunch of other slaves, but she would go to great lengths to make sure that you really want free before she risks herself to come back and spring you from the prison or plantation that you're on. Right now, we're going through the filtration process. Everyone will get a chance to show their true colors. They will demand that you be a human supremacist. Otherwise, you're a lizard lover, reptilian sympathizer. Back in the day, they'd say you're a nigger lover because you won't join our white supremacist cult, clan, hive mind. Or you're a terrorist sympathizer, extremist. You got to be willing to resist that type of peer pressure. And when the witch hunt is on, that's when the rubber meets the road and talk is cheap. Some of you may remember on my trip to Missouri when I picked up this little flyer talking about giving light to our world when freedom dies. And how Q-Ball said, yeah, we call ourselves kindred. Everyone back over there at the camp's kindred. And we were talking. And he said, we came here to help these people, but they don't want our help. They want to just keep doing what they're doing. Some of you may remember this music video where an ETI crash lands, like what MB3 showed you today, and on almost all of his videos, he's showing you the UFOs and how ubiquitous they are and how frequently people are spotting them. Remember me asking if you would put a pair of contacts in with a vertical slit pupil to protect the innocent? And referencing this music video where as soon as the ETI crashes, he says, ETI parties are good to go. I repeat, ETI parties are good to go. And the ETI goes to the nearest ETI party to blend in. And soon after, the feds kick in the door. And at this point, many of you are probably ashamed and humiliated to be a human, just as I was when I saw 7 or 8 foot tall dudes marching 6 foot tall Coptic Christians in Egypt to their death. Like I said, it could have been clowns in action, but at the time I was pretty sure that was real. And I was ashamed and humiliated to be a human and made a heartfelt, tear-drenched prayer to Jesus Christ that we might receive the Nineveh reprieve, because I knew those guys in black jumpsuits and white Nikes and brand new Toyotas that they refer to as this is actually us. Very obvious. Imports. We imported the threat that we were going to go fight against. And during my trip to Missouri, that was a big part of many of the things that were said through me, that I don't want to have to Abu Ghraib your ass, and there's about to be a reckoning for 9/11 and the 20 years that followed, because we, the people of the U.S., refused to rein in our own government that decided to run around the world and, well, do what we did. And now it's time to pay the Pied Piper. And so what group could you possibly find allegiance with? America, patriotism? What, the church? The churches that closed their doors and told their missionaries, go get it? You're going to have to stand alone on this one. And unless you have a personally relevant, personally meaningful set of morals and ethics and standards that you've developed on your own, it's going to be a little tough. But you don't have to do it on your own. You can ask for help just like I did, and I received it in a major way.